Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be watching 10 videos on color grading so that you don't have to do it yourself. You're going to do it with a colorist. If you don't know me, I'm Giuseppe. I started off as a broke videographer who used to hustle music videos for 50 bucks. And today I managed to progress to being a full-time colorist. So my job is to basically get hired by production and color grade what was shot. So I do this for a living. I know what we're talking about, and I'm going to tell you exactly what you can listen to and what is actually bad advice on YouTube. I guess we're going to have a lot of fun. Let's go. First video is this. I just looked up color grading on YouTube, so it's going to be interesting.
Broken up into two categories, natural and artificial. Now you're probably wondering, what does any of this have to do with color grading? Light works as information. The more light we have, the more information we have to work with. This is where natural light thrives, at least for me. I'm not going to pretend that I know a lot about lighting. Natural light does a lot of the heavy lifting. To enhance the colors, I like to shoot at an angle where there's a natural gradient of light. Dark on the bottom and more light on the top. This adds a richness and a contrast to the colors. But what if we don't have any natural light? That is where artificial light comes in. Artificial light can be used in two ways, through a key light and ISO. Over the years, I've learned that the best results come when I use a balance between a key light and a low ISO. Too much artificial light and your colors can look a bit weird, especially in the skin tones. It's important to practice, try, fail, and learn what
Depends on the camera, though. Depends on the camera. Sony's in my experience, Sony's are very good at what you need to overexpose and then go back in post, underexpose in post. So it depends on the camera. Usually, good. This is good advice.
your color grading process. Step 2, color contrast. Color contrast is the most undervalued technique in color grading.
Yep. He's right.
The movies with the best color grade utilize color contrast, the art of using multiple colors to enhance the color in the frame. This works by taking complementary or contrasting.
But if you only follow this, it's gonna make your grades look worse. So you don't always want the most colors you can get in your footage. So you're gonna get there's a lot of grades that actually don't have that much color contrast. So this is one way of making your footage look good. Okay, this is one way of grading you can go about. So what you need to understand about videos like this, when you watch them, they're giving you one piece of the puzzle. This guy, he's not a bad person, but for CTR purposes, for YouTube purposes, he named the video the easiest way to get the cinematic film look. This is not the only way you can go about it, and it actually shouldn't be. So when you learn from these videos, you're learning techniques. What I want you to instead learn is about strategies. So he's good, like he's talking about legitimate things. I agree with what he's saying, but you, the viewer, you need to understand that you can't just watch this video and apply this to all your videos. Like look at the clips he's showing to you. Like this clip has inherent color contrast because you've got the neutral tone here and the reds here. Probably didn't look as contrasty as it does right now because he graded it. Probably didn't look as red. You probably didn't have this cyan because he added that. Okay, and I got it. You can do that too. But you need to know that there's a limit to what you can do with grading. Not every clip needs to be graded like this. This is a false myth. And when you get when I got first into videography, I remember that I wanted my footage to always look like this. This is actually like unnecessary and unprofessional. Because like before you had all these people shooting, let's say, flat images, improper white balance, improper everything, right? Now you have all these people, like you can get this with a lot. Okay, you don't even need to be this good at color grading anymore to get an image looking like this. So actually what's going to get you winning in the fight for for first place is going to be your strategy. So the ability to understand what the shot needs, what the story needs, and actually deliver on it.
Colors and pairing them. We see this in most Wes Anderson films, and it's very simple to do.
Yeah, very good point. So he's telling you see this in most Wes Anderson films. There's a reason why they look like that. Okay, listen. They look like that because what they need to convey is a sense of surrealism. Look at the way they're shot. Look at the way they're shot. Like they're not really real. Like they are like a story is being told to you. Like you open a book and you see the story. You wouldn't apply this grading to let's say to The Conjuring Volume 2, like the movie, like the horror movie. I watched it a couple of nights ago with my girlfriend. It has a very dark, desaturated grading. Does that make it bad because there is not a lot of color contrast? No. I talk about color contrast myself, but you don't want to think that it's the only thing that will keep your grading going. Because when I remember looking at Wes Anderson films myself and thinking, wow, the grading. First, this is actually set design and grading. Set design, lighting, everything else plus grading. You can't create this red by yourself in a white room. It's not going to work. Second, if you try to do this for everything you shoot, you're gonna end up way worse than you were in the beginning. You're actually gonna go down a rabbit hole that you don't want to go down to, because not everything needs to look like this. I mean, how would it look to you if the room I was standing in looked like this? It will look distracting as fuck. What if I had like a harsh highlight? I guess I kind of do actually, but how would it look if I had a higher contrast ratio, like highlights and shadows, they were crushed, than what I actually have with my webcam? Like it will look a lot like it will look weird, unnecessary for the setting I'm in and for the purpose of this video. That's why my strategy for this video is not to make it look, it's not to make my webcam look as vibrant as possible, it's to make it look natural, because that's the tone of this video, because I'm talking to you like I would to a friend, basically.
Do on your own. Think of your frame as two categories, the background and the foreground. I like to add texture in my background, complementary colors and light. Then I build my subject to contrast the background. That way the subject stands out and it feels as if the colors are richer. If you want to see this technique done to perfection, I'd suggest watching La La Land. In this film, they don't only use color.
Beautiful example. Okay, you need to go watch my video right now. Right now, I have a video. I talk about exactly this example. Conjuring 2, La La Land, why does the grading differ? Go watch it right now. If you're still right here, I understand that you're interested in actual color grading. Go watch it right now. I have it appear on screen now. I basically talk about the fact why not everything needs to look like this. Careful, careful, careful to what you listen to.
Color contrast to enhance the frame, but they also use it to tell a story. And finally, step 3, color grading. This is the easiest color grade you'll ever use. This is the one-click color grade, and it works with just one click. Everything you
Okay, so I actually don't like this approach, because I don't like, and nothing against the guy, nothing against Andrew, but because I don't think that's a good way of learning. Usually, content creators teach you this way because it's just easier to make you act, basically.
you've seen in this video was graded with it, and it works with both natural and artificial light.
It's probably going to sell it.
But I thought the best thing I could do is probably gauge management. My output color space is Rec 709.
Okay.
Go to my one-click tab, one-click power grade. I import it, and then I just do.
Yeah, it's a power grade.
Apply grade. There it is. Yeah, and immediately it looks.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
By clicking the number. And I've been really enjoying making my white balance a little bit more warm right there in the shadows, as you see. And then actually after that, I love to click the number. And I've been really enjoying making my white balance a little bit more
this is a okay method. I haven't tested it myself. I like linear gain.
warm right there in the shadows, as you see. And then actually after that, I love to tone down my shadows. It gives this really like contrast.
Okay, no, I don't like this this node tree. I don't like this node tree. I have a guide. I'll have it pop up right here on screen, the Honest Color Grading Guide. I don't like this node tree. It doesn't give you a lot of flexibility if you need to change stuff, and it's too simplistic. I get what he's trying to, like, his audience just needs something easy. It's not going to get you results.
Contrasty feel, which I really, really like. The output color space, the exposure is the shadows.
I'm not going to watch Premiere Pro because Premiere Pro doesn't work for grading anyways.
You're putting in the work, but the
Okay, let's watch this video. Color grading the pro way, Nike campaign grade in DaVinci Resolve. Interesting.
Landscape, so you can see this in full view, because today I'm going to be showing you a look breakdown from the Cortez campaign. eBay champagne. Let's get into this one. All right, guys. So the shot that I'm going to be working on today is this one. It's actually one of my favorite shots from the entire campaign.
Interesting.
I love how the light was working here, the shadows, the colors, everything about this shot. So I'm going to show you how I went from this crusty view to this magical type view that made me a lot of money. You get me? This one not so much money. This one a lot of money. You're going to need to have an intermediate level understanding of color grading to be able to recreate this, because the key stage for this is creating an IDT and an ODT. The most important thing that you need to understand is that when it comes to your IDT, this is the input for your camera information. So it's always important to retain that information. Make a note of it, whether you were shooting on Arri, Red, Canon.
He's right.
All of them cameras. For this one, it was shot.
This is good practice.
Sony, I got camera information. So this is your foundation. To get a look, it's like you're tweaking in camera. It's like you're tweaking in camera, but you're not tweaking in camera, so you're doing it in post. We fix it in post, you get me? I've dropped the light by about a quarter stop, lifted up the shadows by about a quarter.
I wouldn't go about it this way though. First note, I would always place it exposure. I wouldn't go about it with HDR color wheels for contrast. I don't like the way they interact with one another. They're different from lift gamma gain.
Stop as well. From there,
But I would use global exposure on HDR color wheels for exposure, not for contrast though. I don't know why the first node on his node tree is contrast. I mean, if it looks good, it looks good. But me personally, for sake of for having like a more simple node tree, a not unnecessarily complicated node tree, I would actually place exposure first. It gives you a more flexible approach. I'm curious as to where he's going to place his white balance.
We're going to go into our custom curve. I've created multiple points. So
it probably doesn't have a white balance yet. Like he probably doesn't need it for his shot. That's why we don't see it. I don't think he's going to use white balance, and he's not going to white balance it.
I can actually tweak specific areas of this image, but the special sauce with this one, guys, is the low soft. I've lifted up the low soft, and what that allows me to do is create matted blacks opposed to that glossy finish. And you can see as we're starting to mess around with this is the low soft. We're going to go lifted up the low soft, and what that allows me to do is create matted blacks opposed to that glossy finish. And you can see as we're starting to mess around with the contrast itself, it's starting to add more saturation into the actual shot from there.
Okay, so he didn't mess with contrast in this node. What does he think he did?
From
Exposure?
There, we're going to go strip the mids because that's where the skin tone lives. And I've also got the camera information, create the IDT points and the ODT points, and you should have an image like this. From there, what we're going to do is we're going to go straight into the exposure. It's one of the most important parts of this whole process. This is your foundation. This is your base. So in the primary wheels, you can see I've dropped the highlights. I've lifted up the mids because that's where the skin tone.
No.
Lives, and I've also gone ahead and dropped the shadow points just to get a little bit of a
no,
contrast.
chef.
I've also reduced the highlights by about 40%, lifted up the shadows by about 2%, and then I've gone into my HDR wheels and the magic with this section.
I mean, this is lovely. If you were talking about your contrast, this is not your exposure, chef. This is not your exposure. This is not the way you want to go about exposure.
Is it works like your tweet?
If you why not? Because if you need to paste this to another video, and you need, if you want to tweak contrast, you go about doing the things that he did. If there's just an underexposed shot, you just touch the global and you overexpose it. Like you touch exposure, you push it like say one stop up. Okay, that's the way you would go. I have a few videos where I talk about that. It's this way is wrong. This is not how you want to go about it. This is not exposure. It's wrong. Like he's calling it exposure. He just has two nodes where he touches on contrast, basically.
Contrast itself, where we just lift up the saturation and they get quite ugly. Actual shot from there, the natural point on, is we're going to start creating a node for saturation. But we're not going to handle saturation the generic way where we just lift up the saturation and they get quite ugly. You get me? What I've gone ahead and done is I've changed the color space by right clicking on the node, setting it to
okay,
HSP,
he's using HSP.
It's good. What that allows me to do is create a more uniform saturation. It's not an ugly form of saturation. It spreads across the image in a nicer way. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and either boost the saturation or you can go ahead and reduce the saturation. For this, I pulled it back just a tad because there's already a lot of saturation going on.
Okay,
from there, what you do is go back to your second node that you created in this tree, because this one here is for the white balance. Now, the white balance, as you can see in the scopes, we've got more reds, more greens in the mids. Again, we go back to your second node that you.
Interesting. Okay, this is wrong. He has his white balance after his contrast. Do you know why it's wrong? This is wrong because, wait, can I actually draw on this? Beautiful, beautiful. So this is wrong because when you have white balance after your contrast, if you change anything in the contrast, I'm guessing, yeah, he used, if you look at this, he used his lift gamma gain to make his white balance, which is not inherently wrong. But since he used these tools to make his white balance, if he now goes back and changes anything in what he calls exposure, his tools in the node after are going to work against him and he's going to get improper white balance. That's why you always place white balance first, then exposure, and it's just global. And then you work on your contrast. And you can usually do that with curves, lift gamma gain. If you want to go about it with HDR color wheels, be my guest. But no, not like this. This is going to get you into trouble. You can't grade. You can't be precise with it. That's basically what I'm saying.
You created in this tree, because this one here is for the white balance. Now the white balance, as you can see in the scopes, we've got more reds, more greens in the mids. Again, we've got more red and blue. But when it comes to the bottom end, this section here, it's greens and blues. And you got to tweak it around, you got to drop the lumens, you got to play around with it in your lift, your mids, your highs, your offset. But don't go crazy with this one, because if you do, your colors are going to be all out of whack. For me, it was very important that I started to match the green. If you look at the green, and to do straight a look adjustment node, and in this it starts to tweak the hues. So I've taken this little middle point in the shadows and I've shifted it a little bit towards, dropped it quite integrity to the reference images that was sent. From there, we're going to create some parallel nodes, and in the first one, what I like to do is work on the shadows. Going back into this node, you can see I've dropped it quite a lot because I wanted a slightly country look. But now looking at this, I'm going to lift it up a tiny bit.
I don't know why he's working on his contrast yet.
And I've taken this little middle point in the shadows and I've shifted it a little bit towards the green quadrant. From there, what I like to do is use one.
Okay, yeah, I understand. Like so right here, he's giving it a color cast. I don't know if he's bringing his shadows on the log wheels, his blacks basically. I don't know if he's bringing them down as he works on the color cast. He's breaking it into multiple steps. I would have just made one node for this and just built the look. Usually, it's you won't see other colors do it this way. I think this is just a way to overcomplicate it to make it look like he's doing more than he's actually doing. Okay, he's doing them in parallel because they would happen in one node. These can't happen in one node. He's just breaking them up. I mean, if it helps him with just seeing a before and after, I mean, be my guest. Again, it's not inherently wrong. might just be, for the sake of making it complex.
One of the other nodes in Parallel Mixer to tweak the hues. So I've taken the yellow point and I've started to drop.
Yeah, I like this.
That, and as you can see,
like the parallel HSL.
What that does here, if you look at the greens up in the top corner, is it starts to shift the hue. I like to just find a little middle point that just sits well in my own perspective of how this should look.
Okay.
And just leave that there. Yeah, don't go crazy with it. You don't want it to look whack. You want it to look schmack. So yeah, this for me is even money.
Good call. He's saying good things anyways. Like he's saying don't go crazy with it. That's good advice.
The set of parallel nodes, what I like to do is create a look adjustment node. And in this, there's a lot of heavy lifting happening, but in a very simple way. So if we go into the contrast section, the way that I like to do this is unlink the channels and I drop.
This is a color cast. He's not using his wheels. He's using his curves. Same thing.
The red channel ever so slightly and start to give it a little bit more of an editorial vibe. You lot hard work, man. There's not much else happening in this node, but as you can see, just doing a little bit, doing the right bits.
Okay, so this guy grades like this because he's learned a few techniques that make his footage look quote unquote cinematic, and he applies them. I bet he applies almost the same thing over and over. I don't want to point any fingers, but the way he's grading seems like that to me.
Gives it that little bit of sauce that you need. So going back into the parallel,
he's not doing anything inherently wrong. It's just that there's a bunch of unnecessary things, and I don't quite understand the order of operation. I don't know why there's a power window right here with look that he's building. It's a bit weird.
I'm going to keep this one disabled. I'm going to go to the one just below it. From here, what you can see is I grabbed the pavement using my qualifier, created a mask around it, a gradient mask to be specific, tracking.
You can do this if you're working with not many shots or if your budget is huge. Usually you don't need to go about it this deep. I had to add power windows. Like if you have a really distracting something in the background, you can track it like this guy is going to show you. But it's not necessarily. Don't look at this and think to yourself that you're not a colorist or that you can't color grade your footage if you don't add a power window and you don't track it. Most of the time, I don't even track my windows. Like it's not necessary.
That, then coming back and just shifting it ever so slightly to a warmer quadrant within the offset, just takes a little bit of the green out of there and makes it feel a little bit more neutral and natural. As you can see in this road, there's still a lot of pink and purple, and I don't know no road in the UK that look a little bit pink and purple. So you got to do the exact same practice there by qualifying it, grabbing as much of it as you can, tweaking the settings so you're grabbing a more
I don't know.
Finite spectrum of this actual image. And if you're struggling, what you can do is use your pen tool and do a little bit of drawing, draw a little mask around it. So you've only really got this section here, as you can see. And what I like to do, oh no, not that one.
Yeah, this is good. This is, I mean, you can qualify it this way.
Press that button, go into your qualifier, give it a little bit of blur radius, denoise it a tiny bit. And then how I took out that nasty pink and purple is I went into my log wheels, grabbed a little mid-tone point and pulled it towards the green, which counteracts the pink and purple because you're negating the amount that you got at one color by shifting.
Okay, yeah. I kind of get, I think it's a little bit too complex. You don't need to do all of that. He didn't do anything inherently wrong apart from calling contrast exposure. It's unnecessarily complex. Let's see the secret sauce.
I've been fishing.
Let's see the secret sauce to cinematic color grading. Same thing that the guy did before. Oversaturated colors, color contrast. That's it.
Right. Let me talk about this secret sauce. First off, it isn't really much of a secret, and secondly, it doesn't really have anything to do with color grading or magical lights that can somehow transform.
Okay, he's just going to tell you about set design.
Footage was shot on an iPad from 2014 in a summit like this.
Okay, told you. Same thing.
Because these
same thing. You can't make everything look like this. You can't. It looks pleasing to the eye. I'm gonna tell you why exactly. It looks pleasing to the eye because the eye likes contrast, generally speaking. So be it with light or with chroma, it's good to look at. It's the way we're wired. But you can't make everything look like this. If this is your only trick, your one-trick pony, you're gonna fail at color grading. That's just how it is.
These lights don't exist. They're not a real thing, like ghosts or.
This guy is not saying anything bad. Understand it. Like he's not saying anything bad, but it's just not the thing. Like people, yeah, they call it the secret sauce, but it's not the secret sauce, man. It's one of the things you might have in your arsenal. It's one technique. Like you can go about it, and you can decide, okay, I'm gonna get it looking like this. But you need to do that when you have already thought about why does it need to look like this? What are you trying? Why are you in this setting? Why are you trying to make everything pop out this much? There can be a reason. I'm not saying it looks good. It looks bad. It looks good actually. I mean, my eye likes it, but why? Like, why would you be in this room
saying see
in this way? And then you get what I'm saying.
Related to a stranger and actually fucking meaning it. But you know what? This secret sauce does actually exist, and I use it all the time. In fact, I'm using it right now, and it's doing all the heavy lifting for this color grade. And I'm not the only one drenching this secret sauce all over their videos. So what what is it, and why is it important for achieving a decent colour grade? Well, first off, like anything creative, it's not really a rule, it's more of a guideline. And to be fair, it's really easy to get your head around. I mean, I know how to use it, and that's coming from some. The 60-30-10 rule simply means that you divide the table and lamp, and then 10% of an accent shade like this naughty little blue number.
It's not bad advice. Watch this video. Keep this technique in your arsenal, but this is not what you want to rely on. Okay, this is not what you want to rely on, but good technique nonetheless.
This colour theory is used across film, fashion, interior design, and colour, to create a visually balanced and attractive, make a mood of going. Okay, so then there's also
we already know
that
what
I
he's
think
going
is
to
pretty
say.
cool. These locations all have
Green
60%.
garage, blah blah blah, color contrast. Okay, got it. Watch it. Watch this guy. I like his technique, but it's just a technique. Okay, don't mistake it for strategy. Conquer the color page in DaVinci Resolve.
DaVinci Resolve is known for being one of the premier color correction and color grading softwares on the market when it comes to video editing. The Resolve color page. And in the upper left, you can see the clip that I'm folks start to understand. If I had that off, you wouldn't be. I have two clips. See, so just understand that when we're looking at clips, it just means how many different separate assets you might have in your timeline. Some of those might be images, video files, anything that you could potentially color correct. So let's just start right here with the one clip that I split in half and we're looking at is two clips. Now, when you select that in that clip section of the timeline here, I'm calling it the timeline, but technically on the upper right, there is a timeline
Yeah, beautiful animation
that you can click that will actually show you the clips as they appear in your timeline. Here's the first clip. Here's the second clip. There's a throughout your project I have selected. Now, down in the lower left, you will see that there are a bunch of interesting looking color wheels with a lot of things going on around it. There's actually 3 different wheels here, and depending on how you might have.
Good call. He did a good thing. He put his log wheels up before the primary, the color wheels, the Lift Gamma Gain ones, because he probably knows that a lot of people coming from Premiere or Lightroom or whatever are not going to understand Lift Gamma Gain, and they're not going to know what it means. And he clicked on the log wheels because they say shadow, midtone, highlight, and it's going to be more relatable for his viewers. Good call.
Have DaVinci Resolve set, you might see a different one pop up first. Now, the first color wheel, if you go down here, you'll see you can select the different 3.
Yep.
The first one is called the primaries color wheel. Now, this is broken up by lift, gamma, and gain, and offset. Hold that thought. The second option is the color, get your footage. In a very loose way, when people talk about color correcting.
Okay, color grading versus color correcting. I'm very curious because not a lot of people, most people get this wrong.
What they mean is that your camera itself may either add a certain amount of color or presets to get your footage to look a certain way in camera, or sometimes you might even be filming in what they call raw, which is where you ask your camera not to add really anything in terms of contrast, brightness, off, trying to get color one way or another to create a mood. Like if you're trying to create a scene that looks more like it's at night, things might be more blue, or if you're in a set that has a lot of red lighting going on, of course the thing is going to feel more red because that's how the scene was lit. So color grading is more about mood, color correction is more about trying to get that neutral starting point. 2 different terms that I think sometimes
Yeah, it's right.
get confused, and I wanted to mention them.
Are you a Roblox fanatic?
No, I'm not.
In terms of color correcting and trying to get things a little more neutral. I have a piece of footage here that I filmed with my friend Bam the drummer, and you can see that we filmed it in one of my production rooms.
Okay, I kind of agree with this definition of color correcting versus color grading. It's not that simple. It can be a lot deeper than that, but it's actually good. He didn't say anything wrong.
And the room itself tends to be a little red. Now, what I want to do is show you the scopes on the right to help calibrate the dark shade scope. It's the scope I use so you understand the color of your clip. It goes up to 1023. I won't go deep into the explanation of why those numbers are there. Be thinking about partially changed to then green, and then another section that's to the midtones in all, you would actually see these change a bit. This is a fairly consistent shot. Okay, I've selected the very first set of wheels. And what that's going to think of it as a greatest color. So if we were to then that's kind of what we're doing here, but we're doing it with color. All right. So let's take a quick look at how there's a center dot that you can move around and change things around.
There's a better way to white balance.
I'll reset that.
This is white balancing with Lift Gamma Gain. I prefer linear gain. And then if you can't get your shot balanced because your camera did weird things, then you can go about it with Lift Gamma Gain.
Here's a lift, and if you look at the clip up above, you can see it feels a lot less saturated. When I go up and down, can you see it's not just the bottom? It actually squishes up the mids and it brings it all.
Yep.
And do the same thing in touching the mids. What's happening here in the color wheel section of the primaries? And if you look up in your preview window, you can actually see those mids getting brighter or darker. That whole mid section. It's not those midtones. Lower wheel, left click and hold, and I drag it to the right.
Good tutorial. Good tutorial.
Color wheel. When we use lift,
very clear. He's teaching things in a very clear way.
Pulling them over. I think it's like the master volume. If you watch what I do here, if
I there's better tools.
Set everything.
I mean, my bad. I'm sorry, man. My Italian just comes out sometimes. He didn't convert his footage. He's just keeping it simple. I mean, can't say anything about it.
And holding the instruction, which is the color bars, primaries color bars. You'll see hold on that wheel on the lift. Then I start turning it to the right. You'll see the very same thing happened that happened when I was back on the color wheel section. The only thing that's different between this section, the primary color wheels, and the primaries color bars is the individual controls when you want to start.
Good call. Good call. Good tutorial, man. If you don't know, if you've never touched DaVinci, go watch this guy right now.
Just the reds and the darks, or just the greens that reads quite as much. It's really dialing into just the reds or just the greens or just the blues. Stay with me. I know some of this can be confusing and there's a lot of information, but I just want you to think about the light spectrum, dark to light, and then red, green, and blue. That's primaries, and that's the log wheels. This one, you'll physically be able to see the difference. Now, I know we said, remember, it looks so much like this one. Why do they give us 2 different things?
Okay, good tutorial. I got it. Good tutorial. I like it. How to color grade any type of video in Premiere Pro 2025. I didn't want to watch any Premiere Pro video, but either way. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 5th. Let's
Hey everyone,
go.
in today's video I'm going to teach you how to color grade any video in any style from any camera.
This is gonna be. I already saw the thumbnail. Orange and teal, 100%. He's got that font, very popular font, cinematic font, whatever, man. It's gonna be just like that.
Doesn't matter if it's vlog or not, I'll teach you both. If you guys need to find something specific and you came to this video for one reason in particular,
You can guess that he's on the wave of what's good right now because of his added chromatic. Nothing against the guy. I've got Trentorials. I've got nothing against you. I'm just saying what's on my mind. Chromatic aberration. I think too strong. Yeah, this is way too strong. This is added in post. This is not from his lens. And the outrageous depth of field. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty basic.
you can go to the timestamps in the description and hopefully something there will be closely related to what you're looking for, or you can scribble out.
Basic in the sense that it's what's looking good right now, what's trending, basically. It's not going to be anything too fancy. It's going to be very similar to what you guys have already saw in the other videos.
The timeline itself and add that as well, meaning we're going back in that are in what we call log footage, log format. Now, here's the deal. If you didn't shoot your video in log, it doesn't look like this, right? It looks normally saturated, maybe perhaps like this. And it overall doesn't look bad, just obviously you want to color grade it and make some stuff, right? That here on the screen, again, we have log.
I mean, it looks like he's really trying his best. I appreciate a lot of what he's saying.
There's another shot in log once again. First one, right? So this first one, I'm outside. We know it's supposed to be bright and sunny. You can tell that the sky's being blown out because there's some light, right? But the problem is it's in log. Now, we need to get it out of log and into Rec 709, which is your standard, viewing profile on mobile and digital. It depends on which format, which is log, cinema gamut, C log 3. We have just quick, let's just say this first clip right here. And now you'll see color settings, input, what, only one else.
Say hello to
I mean, he's very I like the fact that at least he's converting footage properly.
Log, cinema, basic correction, drop this down, and on input light, it's the same exact modify,
Yeah.
color, and we're back here. Now, under input, you haven't already thrown it for your camera now, shooting it. What do we do now? So again, go to none, go to add use, press log. Now we can we'll drop it in that, right? That was also alternatively what I already had down here, and then press OK. Right, so I'll undo this, and you can see what we had, which is the log. Now,
Wait. What is that?
Again, I'm shooting on a Canon R6, right? In cinema gamut, C log 3 or Canon log 3. You can be on Sony. There's a variety of other options, but the point is, make sure you find a conversion LUT for your camera specifically. If not, Google it. It's pretty simple to find. What do we do now? So again, go to none, go to add LUTs. You want to find out wherever you put this LUT. But I have this conversion LUT folder right here because I just again downloaded a bunch of different LUTs over the years for different cameras, and this is the conversion LUT I'm going to go ahead and use. Press open, and it will drop it in that. Right, that was also alternatively what I already had down here, and then press OK. Right, so I'll undo this.
Are you sure that's a conversion LUT? The image looks way too weird to be just from a to come out just from a conversion LUT, but whatever. Let's go ahead.
You can see what we had, which is the log. Now, when we convert it, right, it looks pretty normal. You can actually get away with just using that because it looks pretty good. My lighting was nice. But let's say your shot has really poor lighting or you're underexposed or something went wrong, right? And it doesn't look perfect. It looks okay. But there's a lot more that could be done. So in order to do those things, right, we need to correct the color, or in this case, the section of the video is the color correction section. I hate that rhymes. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and actually color be graded, right? This is the Lumetri color panel.
Let's see if you get color correction right.
Our basic correction is where you're going to start for your correction of this, video again. And you want to take a look and identify what's going on in your shot. Now, again, like I said,
Good call. He's saying, look at your shit before you go about grading it. This is actually a very good call because you don't want to apply things just because people told you to apply things like the guys before this guy. I mean, this guy might be less of an expert because he's I don't know, maybe he's using Premiere. Doesn't make him less of an expert, but he might have less tools at his disposal. Like at first glance, like his image looks less worked on. He's not sitting in a bright red room, but his approach is actually right.
I lost details in the highlights because the sun was blowing out the background. There's a little less saturation.
Okay, but this is wrong. Why are you worrying about your highlights? There needs to be a reason. You can worry about your highlights because they take attention away from the subject. That's a good reason. But you shouldn't be worrying about highlights just because you worry about highlights. That's not how it works. Okay, you don't want to. Everybody on YouTube, especially the Premiere guys, they worry about highlights clipping too much. I don't actually give a fuck about it.
Saturation and contrast that I want, and I think my skin tones look a little bit red, and I don't want that. Just a little bit too much. There needs to be some red, but I think
okay, right?
they're a little bit more on the pink side, and I want to bring back maybe more towards the warmer reds, if you would. So I identified what I need to do to correct this footage in my eye. Again, no expert. I did this off what I feel was right because I want to enjoy what I did. That's my goal here. So I'm gonna go ahead immediately and just take my highlights and bring them down. And now, okay, you can bring them down. That's a little too far down, right? Yes, we will.
Okay, see the way that he's bringing down highlights, he couldn't really recover anything because it's burned in his camera. The sky is just looking like this, and he brought his skin down as well. I'm guessing he's gonna mess a little with his contrast, but he's never gonna make it look right because it can't. You need to have a mask on him to make it look right. It's just the way that this is shot. No amount of grading without masks is gonna save this guy.
We lost some details that we will never get back in the sky, but we don't want to bring it down this much to where there's no light in the shot. So let's bring those up to like halfway. I'll bring the white.
Yeah, he's.
Because the white point of the video overall is like the brightness level. It's not the exposure, but it's like the brightness and whiteness of the color. Again,
Kinda.
It's a hard thing to explain in words, but you'll start to figure this out as you go about your color grading journey, if you would. And then the contrast, I'd like to add a bit more, so I'm going to bring my contrast slider.
He's just adding contrast. He's just doing what he did. Okay, so I like the effort he's putting in. He doesn't have a clear strategy. That's it.
Up a bit, bring the black point.
I mean, he's doing things. You can tell that he's doing things just because he's being told to do things through other YouTube tutorials, because he's doing something that contradicts the next thing he's going to do. He's pulling highlights down, then pushing whites up, then pushing contrast up. It doesn't make sense. He could just leave the highlights where they are, and that would be it.
Points down, then bring my shadows down a bit more too. And if you want to see where you started, where you are now, come up here and turn off the bypass or turn it on alternatively. And that's where we started. This is where we are now. So a little less contrast here, more even.
Yeah. Good.
Contrasted in my opinion here. And then of course we want to go ahead and set the white balance if the white balance is wrong. Now this white balance is pretty okay, but
personally, I would have brought shadows up.
let's say yours is bad and you happen to have something white in the scene. Now I'm wearing a white
Too much contrast for my taste.
shirt here. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the pick tool, choose the white shirt, see what happens.
Can be good. Automatic white balance can be good. I'm not one of those guys that's gonna shit about automatic white balance. You can have it.
Okay, so you see that it's at 2.92 or -2 now. The white balance is pretty good. It is set to auto. It's pretty decent, but it got corrected ever so slightly because I chose what is known as true white or whatever I had closest to true white, and now all the color.
But the problem with auto white balance is that you just need to have what you think is going to be a neutral point in your image. That's the issue. Like you can white balance this image by looking at my hair, because my hair is fairly dark and neutral. You can white balance the image by looking at the white wall behind me. This is like this image that you're watching. It's actually improperly white balanced by my webcam, because the room I'm in right now is slightly warmer than this, and my MacBook is just improperly white balancing it. Okay, so you need to be careful with auto white balance.
Choose the white shirt and see what happens. Okay, chose that a little bit. The last is hue, saturation, and luminance values is what HSL stands for. But we're going to go ahead and do something
Is he going to desaturate his face though?
qualifying, or at least that's what DaVinci Resolve calls it.
He needs to compress his skin. Notice that there's a few spots on his skin where he looks too oversaturated, and there's a few spots where he looks too pale. He needs to. Props to this guy for coming this far. This is going to be something that you don't see people doing. When you have issues like this guy has in his footage, you need to saturate what is desaturated and desaturate what is saturated. You're gonna compress your skin basically.
So that's what I've always called it.
Let's see how it goes about it.
Pick out a color specifically from the footage that we want to target in any regard. Doesn't matter if we're going to.
Yeah, see like these spots when it gets darker. I'm curious. Let's see.
Saturate it or whatever. We just want to target a color out of this. So I go ahead and I'm picking that color. I'm gonna pick this right here, and nothing's
Oh, he's qualifying the skin.
changed so far because we haven't
Bad.
told it to do anything. But if you turn on the color gray thing, you'll notice that the red sections, the color I selected of my face, are now highlighted, if you would, or isolated. Now again, hue.
He might be lucky. The key might turn out good, but it's not a good method.
Saturation and luminance, we can control each of those values. The saturation of my face, right, it's quite saturated, but it's not too saturated, so it found a decent range of saturation that was targeted here. Now if I want to target a greater range, I'll just drag this up a bit, and it will grab more, and I'll turn this off. So again, we've selected our color.
Don't go about skin tones this way. This can work, but it can't be your one-trick pony.
Minimize this for the opting. But we're not going to get into 2 more times on different. But I just be my personal preference, but I like to add some saturation. I'm going to start this time by just selecting a white wall, knowing that that is white, I've painted. And all it did was add a little.
Okay.
Is helpful.
Same thing that I just said, that you need to be sure, is this white wall really white? Is that really white balance? With light coming in from outside. In fact, he looks a little too cool to me right here. His skin is too pale, too white, too cold, because I'm guessing the light that was coming in was warmer, and the Premiere Pro just said, okay, this needs to be 100% neutral white. Okay, his skin turned white as well, because the white balance is now improper.
To the temperature because it needed it apparently. Now I'm going to bring the highlights down just a tiny bit. We're going to bring the contrast up. We're going to bring those whites back up a little bit. Just
doesn't look
white
good.
a tiny bit. Black point down a bit, and we'll raise the shadows a tiny bit.
He's kind of doing the same thing, but now he's brought his shadows up.
And the exposure.
Black's
Again, understanding
down.
what each of these tools do is helpful, but really the best way to learn is by just playing with the settings and seeing what each one does.
I like this guy though. I like I like the guy. I mean, he's not doing things the proper way, but I like the guy.
A lot of do what they sound like. Highlights, change the highlights. Shadows, change the shadows. Contrast, change how contrasty the actual.
I genuinely want to help him. Trentorials, if you're watching this video, go watch. I have a few guides. Go watch them. I really want to help you out.
Exposure, literally exposes or underexposes the saturation. It's playing with it and doing your own thing. But this is another place you can add saturation and contrast. So right here under curves, right, RGB curves, we're only gonna mess with this one for this situation. You could mess with a lot more of these, and there are some videos on the channel where I do. So feel free to watch like this one. I think I messed with it a little bit and I explained it. But
Have you ever heard
Okay, yeah, we can just skip this part. The secret to vibrant color grading.
I'm gonna go over my color grading process. The exact
Same thing. Color contrast. It's gonna be overblown, oversaturated colors.
techniques I use every day to achieve a vibrant and dense filmic look. Color grading is completely subjective.
Okay, but I'm gonna give props to this guy because he actually says this is just for vibrant color grading.
Process. There is no right or wrong way to go about it. However, over the last number of years, I've collected a few tips and tricks in my color grading process that I'm showcased that I've used both in my client work as well as my personal social work. The goal of color grading is to create a look. The look that I've become known for is a very vibrant and dense, almost filmic look. The color grading that I'm showcasing in this video.
Yeah, so everybody tries to sell you this because it's what's popular right now. If this is all that you rely on, you're never gonna be able to grade at a professional level. And your stuff is always going to look the same. Like the best compliments I ever get, like I always get, are the ones when the client says, Giuseppe, you're actually very versatile. I like that you can work on such a huge range of footage. That's a really good compliment, let me tell you. And the thing is that if you rely, as I said, on a one-trick pony, just make everything vibrant, you're just going to be one-dimensional. And when you don't get a clip that just works with your footage, it's going to be looking very, very bad for you.
Isn't necessarily trying to emulate real film, real Kodak or Fujifilm stocks, but it's overall just a really vibrant and dense look that I've become very fond of. I hope
A film stock doesn't actually look this vibrant. Surprise, surprise.
two of these tricks will help you in your coloring process. If you want to skip
That it's wrong. Like film stock doesn't actually look like that. It looks like that because people want it to look like that. Like, you can develop film, you can shoot on a certain type of film, develop it in a certain way, and it starts to look like that. But it doesn't just look like that. That's not film. You've been lied to because I told you, man. These people, yeah, they just echo advice that they hear from everybody else. They don't know themselves.
everything and just download my own personal
Nothing against this guy as well, Gaku Lange.
Alright, I'm available in my store, link down below. It's totally not necessary or selected to make sure you have the most accurate color rendition on your monitor. I'm coloring on the Pro Display XDR, and so if you're using a Mac, make sure to click Use Mac Display Color Profile. Additionally, in Gamut Intermediate, and then finally Output Color Space, Premiere Pro, and my color grade. And I'm just going to talk through each node one by
one. Damn, what is this?
Now, if you're new to color
Okay, I bet everything that you have that this is going to be an unnecessarily overly complex node tree.
individual resolve nodes are basically just layers that are stacked on top of click add a node, or you can press, I think it's option S, and create a serial node, which is a node that sits between two nodes.
I get it.
You can create log footage. Log footage is basically just a great way to utilize the full dynamic range of your camera. I shoot all my clips in S-Log3 or S-Gamut3 Cine, and so the first thing I like to do is color space transform or
Hey, I use Sony as well. Props to you.
get this to a base Rec 709. The way I do this is basically just go in, you can do this through effects, just click and drag a color space transform, and make sure your input color space, your input gamma match your output color space in gamma. In this case, we want to convert this to Rec 709 from Sony Gamut 3 Cine and Sony S-Log3. So basically, I'm just toggling this on and on with Command D. Basically, this just gets you to your starting point, and from here is where we're going to create our look. So the first two things I do on every clip is I like to create an exposure and white balance node. And right now,
Okay, a good exposure. Yeah, I like it. White balance before, man. Go before.
I'm just going to go through exposure real quickly. Instead of going through the prime S-Log3, and so the first thing I like to do is just bring down my lights a little bit, as well as bring down my shadows. And I'm just
No. God damn it, man. Why? You were you almost had it, man. No. I scared my cat. Why?
just clicking and dragging here on the exposure to bring these down and just get me a little bit closer to what I deem kind of normal for this clip. So we've got about here. The next thing I'll do is I'll go into my white balance in a separate node. And here, I'm just going to go into my temperature and adjust the clip to what
this is not inherently wrong. There's better ways to go about it, but it's still a tool, it's still in Resolve. You can still use it.
I feel fit. This clip is a little bit blue, and I like to get my clips a lot warmer, and so I'll just bring this to the right a little bit, and I'm going through these one by one, but later you can go back and adjust it and really fine-tune everything. So we're just going to roughly adjust this for now and come back to it later. At the end of my node tree, you have this contrast. You can kind of create this anywhere in your tree.
Not true. Not true. Not true. No, don't make your contrast where you want in your node tree because Luma and Chroma are linked together. If you increase contrast with the way this guy is probably going to work about it, you're going to change the saturation of your image. So it's not right.
I just have this at the end. And
you want to, personally, I like to work my contrast right after exposure.
Contrast, basically what I have is I have a curve that adjusts the shadows and highlights. And this is another way to get your exposure and your overall image looking somewhat normal. And so right now I just have just one point on this, and I'm just going to click and drag around the bottom third here and just pull this down just a little bit. And already you can see before and after, it's almost night and day. We're getting our exposure really close to what I deem to be kind of like acceptable. A lot of people like to create S-curves, and so they'll put another point here and bring it up.
S-curves is just a fancy way of saying add more contrast to your image. It's just lazy grading. Don't do that.
But what I find is that sometimes kind of like blows out your highlights. And you don't really want to blow out your highlights that much. So a lot of times I just like to click
Why? Why do you not want to blow out your highlights?
this right here and bring it down.
It's a good point. Like, I don't want to blow out my highlights, but why? I want your why, because I want to see your strategy. Why are you thinking about that? You can understand a lot of how a person grades by their reasons. Why are you doing the thing you're doing, basically?
Down a little bit. Once you get your CST, your exposure, white balance, and contrast somewhat set, the next thing I like to do is like create an HSV node. And how you create HSV node is basically
This is saturation, basically.
you're going to go ahead and right-click this node, this new node that you created. You're going to go to your color space, and you're going to want to click HSV. You're then going to go down more, and then after. You can already tell that these greens are a lot more rich. The skin colors are, again, a lot more rich, and the overall image is very vibrant. We're going to fine-tune this
Okay.
later, but this is just a quick tip on how you create that really vibrant look. Once I've got my HSV node, then the next thing is I'm going to go ahead and apply a LUT. Now, you can go ahead and create and apply any LUT that you see fit. So for instance, let me just create another serial node here. If you go through DaVinci Resolve's effects, DaVinci Resolve actually has a lot of built-in
It's going to be Kodak 2383 film stock, film print emulation, whatever.
Kodak and Fuji kind of like
Told you. Told you.
recreation looks that you can go ahead and select as your LUTs. You don't necessarily have to use my LUTs for this step. You can use other LUTs that you download, but the LUT kind of is just where it gets you a little bit closer to that filmic look. For this example, let me just go ahead and use
No. I don't like it. I actually dislike the DaVinci LUTs a lot. You know that? I hate the Kodak 2383 LUT on DaVinci, the Fuji as well. I don't like them. Film is so misunderstood on YouTube, man. I'm going to tell you, when you're going to get to the level of working with clients, if you want to become a pro colorist, or if you want to be a cinematographer, videographer, whatever you are, when you get to a good level, if you still have this knowledge about film, if this is what you think film looks like, you're going to get very disappointed.
use Kodak 2383D65. You're just going to click and drag this. You can then go to your key input and just subtract the gain. And
No, I'm sorry, man. I can't contain myself. I can't. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, man.
so again, if you just bring it
No.
up to, I would say like, let's go like 0.15.
No.
And so this is without, and that's with. It kind of overall increases the contrast as well as adjust the colors. So this is where you're going to go back and you can go to your exposure and go back to your HDR and bring down the highlights a little more, maybe bring up the overall exposure of the image so you can compensate for that new LUT being applied. I'm going to go ahead, of course, and use one of my LUTs. So I'll go ahead and use daylight for this, and I'm going to go into my key here, and I'm actually going to decrease the output and bring it up to like 0.22, something like that. So that's without my LUT, and that's with my LUT. And already it's got a lot more punchy. The highlights are a little bit more orange, and overall feeling a lot.
It's going to be an orange and teal. Oh, no. I warned you. I told you guys. Don't watch YouTube tutorials. It's always going to be the same thing. Look, if you're serious about grading, go watch some of my other videos. You can see me grade. You can pick my mind while I'm grading. I have videos where I grade music videos. I'm going to do short films as well. Go watch them. It's called the Honest Color Grading Guide for Videographers. Simple guide to get a normal looking, professional looking image, clean looking grade. None of this stuff. Nothing against you, Gaku. It's just, it's not even his fault, man. Can you hate him though? Like, can you, like, being honest with you, like, it's just the way he's being taught. What can you have against the guy?
A lot more warm. Okay, so you've noticed we've gotten here pretty quickly. We've got color space transforms, we've got white balance, we've got an HSV node to really crank up that density. We've got a LUT, and then we've got a contrast node. The next thing I like to do is I like to go ahead and adjust the color tones of each color. Now, the way that you do this now with DaVinci is really easy. I have a node here that's called skin, but what skin is basically just a color slice node. So the color slice tool, I made a whole video about this.
Okay.
I'll link it as well down below. But the color slice tool basically allows you to adjust the density and saturation of any color in your image. Here you can adjust the density and the saturation of any color in your image. And so a lot of times the first thing I like to do is go to my skin tones, and I like to bring the density down a bit actually in this one, and maybe the saturation up a little bit. And then I'll go to my greens and I'll play around with the density. Sometimes I like it stronger or lower. For this one, I get lower and bring up the saturation. Same with my yellows. A lot of times the yellows in green and making company clips. This is basically this gate weave. It's basically like mimicking gate weave from film, actual film emulations. Grain is, I don't add grain very often, but grain, you can actually add grain from DaVinci Resolve for a clear image. A lot of times I don't even put grain in my color grades because on like social platforms, especially like YouTube or your phone or Instagram, the grain just doesn't
Good point. This is a good point. Very well.
look good with tone curve. I've got a node here called shadows, and basically in shadows, it's just playing around with the curves. And so if you go to curves here,
It's different ways of adding contrast in 3 different nodes in 3 different places. Now, you can have a reason. Like, you can do that because you need to do it this way, because it's going to interact this way with the signal. And when I do it this way, the thing that I do after, my shadows get picked up better. Then I compensate for that in the node after. You can have your reasons, but what's your why? I told you before, This is not a strategy. You're just creating because you think this looks cool and whoa, look, 35 nodes. How many are there? The 22, I guess.
What I like to do is I like to add a point kind of close to the bottom here. So you're gonna come into your curves and you're gonna create 2 points, one here and one here. And basically
It's an S curve. It's just an S curve.
what you're gonna go ahead and do is you're gonna go to your bottom left here and you're just gonna
Or maybe he's just gonna leave it in place.
bring this up. And you're gonna bring this point up just to the point.
I like it though. I like it. This is I like this point that he's making. Good advice. This is a technique. Don't confuse it for a strategy. This is not your one-trick pony. This is something that I often do because I like the look of it. Not always. You can do like I often do it for things that require it. I need to be careful when I'm speaking. This is actually going to compress your shadows. So when you do this, you push shadows down while you get the blacks up. And what this does is basically compress everything that was in this area, the shadow area, into a tiny piece of detail that is actually brighter than what it was before. Instead of sitting at the top, it's going to sit at the I want to say not the top. Instead of sitting at the bottom, it's going to be slightly higher, and it has that milky black look. Okay, that's what he's going for, and it's a really popular technique when you want to do the filmic cinematic grade, but it's not what you want to rely on. Be careful.
Point where it doesn't quite destroy your image. If you notice in your shadows, by bringing that bottom left point up, it'll actually kind of like soften.
Okay, got it. Okay, we're just going to go ahead anyways. Let's see, this should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this should be the 7th. Cinematic travel look. Oh, no. Masks. Exposure. Okay, this is Lightroom anyways. I'm not going to watch this. The easiest way to color grade your footage, and this is yet again the same look.
My footage straight out of the camera. And this is after color grading.
Orange and teal. The answer. Filmic look. I'm guilty of this myself. I'll tell you. I've done it. It's the truth. A lot of times when you work with low-level clients, it's just what they want because they've been sold this type of look, man. If you want to go ahead and do that for the rest of your life, I mean, be my guest. This video from this guy, what's his name? Riggs PHV2. I mean, it's just 9 minutes long. Go watch it and paste this power note tree, whatever, on all your footage, and that's it. You've done learning color grading for your entire life, but
If you've ever wonder how I color grade my videos, this video is for you. But before we begin, this is a disclaimer that I'm not a professional and I'm just passionate about my craft, and everything I share is based on hands-on experience, trial and error, and lesson learned.
I appreciate this guy.
So if you're new to color grading or if you want to refine your process, maybe my workflow might help you. Before we
Very, very wholesome. Very wholesome. Not nothing against these guys. I mean, I criticize a lot just because I want to be honest and blunt. If it requires me to be alone telling the truth, I'm still gonna say the truth, right? I don't care if people have a problem with it. I'm just gonna say what the truth is. But I've got nothing against these guys, and props to this guy for not having the ego to say, hey, this is the only way you want to go about it. He knows, like, he admits he's not a professional, so props to him.
dive into the grading process, let's quickly cover the tools that I use. Use a Red Komodo for some trade. For color grading, I dump everything on input. And here's what I'm going for: a film look. I'm just going to set my input gamma to S-Log3, output color space using the offset control 9, and output gamma to see me on film look. Second node is exposure.
Okay, exposure. Let's see how it touches upon
I
exposure.
adjust the overall brightness using the offset control.
Honest color grading guide. Go watch it right now.
Why offset? Because it adjusts the shadows, midtones, and highlights.
Yeah, the concept's good, but this guy is not aware that HDR wheels work better.
Linearly, unlike the exposure slider.
there might be a fucking Giuseppe Di Lecce 2 right around the corner. He's actually gonna watch me react to these guys, and they're gonna release like DaVinci 21 fucking version, and it's gonna have like HDR color wheels plus, and I'm gonna get the shit beat out of me because I've told you all this time to use HDR wheels, and there's gonna be like a better tool around the corner. But anyways, no, offset, I don't like it.
There, we can go at your highlights. Trust me on this because I learned this the hard way. Next, third node is where I adjust my contrast.
Okay, I like it though. I like it. This guy is working smart.
Instead of slamming the contrast slider, I use the curves to fine-tune shadows and highlights.
Okay, good. You can do both. You can do both, really. Different tools for the same process, whatever you like.
The main goal here is deep blacks without crashing details and whites that aren't clipped.
Okay, it's still the same look. They always sell you the same look. You can't actually color grade professionally. You can't be a pro videographer and actually have different types of looking, like the different types of images basically, if you only know how to grade this way. Because everybody uses their tools to just saturate their image. That's what they're doing, saturate and contrast.
Offset gives you final control to neutralize color cast without skewing the entire image.
It's not really the best. I appreciate the guy. He doesn't know about it, but there's better tools for this. This is white balance.
Right-click the node and click color space and click HSL. Now disable channel 1, which is hue, and channel 3 for luminance. And now we can mess with the curve. Now for the magic, the 6th node, which is the look, or in this case the dehancer, which emulates film stocks. And here's how I set it up. Remember how we set our CSD node to Cineon Film Log? Here in the input tab, we need to match that, so set source to Cineon Film Log 2.
I don't like this workflow, but props to him for keeping it simple.
Since we've already adjusted exposure, white balance, and everything else in the previous nodes, we don't need to touch anything else here. In the film tab, this is where you pick your film stock like Fuji Eterna, Kodak Vision, Kodak Porta, Cinesteel, and a lot more, which each has a unique character.
So let's
Okay, we're done with the video. It's still the same look. What nobody told you about color grading.
When I started color grading, I tried to learn every technique I found buttons. What many beginners usually do is this. They jump into a clip and apply a color space transformation. It doesn't matter whether it's the color space transformation in Resolve or a color space transformation LUT. With the color space transformation in place, they start to adjust exposure and contrast like this. Something like that. And maybe they do something like this, opening up this image just a little bit more. I think let's park it around here. Little side note, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt that you know the proper order of operations and that you don't think that you need to grade your log footage manually, whatever that may mean. I already balance, so we want to run away from the yellow just description. Then they may add another instance of color wheels, like this, and try to take care of their white balance, so we want to run away from the yellow just a bit. I will just eyeball it for now, and I think I will park it right here. After that, they usually grab some hue saturation curves, slide them in,
so
represent it.
what
That's
would
something
be
you can just searching YouTube for color grading hacks, because it just can't be that hard. Okay, let's pause for a minute. If we want to fix what's going on, we need to understand it. First, let's oversimplify the process of color grading and break it down
Props to this guy. You need to understand what you're trying to fix before fixing it. Good advice.
into 3 main parts. The first part is where you make sure that everything looks somewhat consistent. You take care of exposure and contrast, white balance, and overall image balance. Let's call this normalizing and balancing. Secondly, you would perform
Good call.
any adjustments that involve masking or keying, or any adjustments that are targeted. So if you want to darken one specific part of an image, or you want to change a specific hue, this is where you do it. Let's call this secondaries.
I wouldn't do it right after that. I don't agree on this one.
Last but not least, you would take care of
I would actually do it after my creative, in a node tree. Like you have the part where you work, you correct your footage, you normalize it, whatever this guy said. Yeah, you got that. After that, I usually go on about creative grading. If you need power windows, I usually add them after. That's the best way that I found, and that's the one I like the most.
giving a footage a certain vibe by stylizing it. Maybe you want to add film grain, this is where you do it. Let's call this secondaries. Last but not least, you would take care of giving a footage a certain vibe by stylizing it. Maybe you want to add film grain, maybe you just want to do some split toning to achieve a teal and orange look or whatever. Let's call this third step look development. Imagine these 3 Lego bricks are your individual clips. So you have clip 1, clip 2, and clip 3 of our secondary adjustments, represented in green. We want to adjust a specific hue or darken some parts of the image.
I like the fact that he's using Lego bricks. That's beautiful.
Whatever you like to do. Lastly, and because I'm running out of colors, we do the look development, which is red again. Okay, the first clip is now graded. As you can see, now we have a single tower. That means we did 3 entirely different things in one go. Therefore, switching to...
Oh, he's gonna go about grouping clips, right?
But okay, we will let it slide for now. Then we probably half-ass our adjustment for exposure and contrast, then we do some kind of image balancing. But when it comes to color, we are now confronted with the question, okay, do I adjust the color now, or is that something that I do with my look development? Adding insult to injury, this is usually where beginners lose their patience and start to do hyper-targeted adjustments, like using masks or qualifiers to a degree that will just break their image.
Yeah, good call.
If that's it's completely
See.
all 3 raspberries, functions to get time that the color space transformation from our recording color space to Rex 2 dots. They bring you to the timeline level node tree. As the approach will
Okay.
effect all of, so I apply the proper color transformation lots. When adjusting exposure and contrast, I will turn my entire timeline black and white. I do that by using my check layer plugin, but you can also just desaturate your entire timeline at the adjustment layer. But in here,
Is he doing this to increase, to work on his contrast? Is he doing this?
is in the entire timeline black and white. I do that by using my check layer plugin, adjusting exposure and contrast. Since I'm only concerned with light when adjusting exposure and contrast,
Good call. Good call. I like this. First, good piece of advice from this guy. Props to this guy. Color for Creators by Eric Lenz. I like this.
I will turn my entire timeline black and white. I do that by using my check layer plugin.
So the reason why you do this, it's because you isolate what you don't worry about in that moment. Like, I'm gonna tell you something more about myself. I started off as a singer. I used to make music in my house, and I had a home studio. Basically, I was my own audio engineer because I was very young. I didn't have a job, of course. I went to high school and stuff. And in that space, I got really good at it. And in that space, like in that field, when you want to work on the volumes of stuff and the likes, you always put everything in mono, not in stereo, because when you put everything in mono, it becomes very easy to understand if something is too loud or too quiet. So this is the same principle. I didn't learn it from guys like this one, but it's actually, he's teaching a good concept. Listen to this. Go watch this video right now. This is a good concept. Maybe he explains it better than I can do in this video, but usually you remove things that you don't worry about. I don't always do this. I mean, you can have many arguments against this. It's still a good method. It can be a tool in your arsenal. Don't watch this video and don't go around always using this, because this is not going to be your one trick pony. Again, this is something that you can use. Why is this not going to be your one trick pony? Because when you touch your contrast the way most people are going to go about it, you eventually change your saturation. So in theory, yeah, you can use this method, but it's not as, pun intended, black and white as he's making it look like. But nonetheless, good tip. Not easy to come across.
But you can also
He's done his own work.
just desaturate your entire timeline at the adjustment layer. But in here, I will just select Luma only, and here we go. Now my image is black and white. This means I can only focus on light, and I'm not distracted by any color information. Next, I will decide on a hero shot for this sequence. I'm scrubbing through here. Yeah, I think this is
good approach. He's showing you that you want to have the hero shot. What he's talking about, what you call it, hero shot. It's basically the photograph, let's call it that you want to stay on when you build your grade. Don't go around thinking that it can only be one. Like, you can scrub through your clip while you're grading to see, hey, does this hold up? Especially if you have a long ass clip, you need to do that. Like, does this look good here when we're in this room? And does it look good when we move to that room in the same clip? You need to do that. So he's giving you a good, solid advice, but it doesn't end there. Okay,
it's the one. The hero shot is the first.
Nothing about this is a one-trick pony. Don't think that this is not. These are techniques that you want to add to your inventory, right?
Shot I will color grade, and this will be my main reference. Now I jump into my color wheels and adjust exposure and contrast to my liking. So I pull everything up just a little bit, then I'll park my shadows right here, and also I want to preserve the moody feeling, so I might lower my midtones just a little bit. Okay, so that's already it with exposure and contrast for this clip. Next, I will pull out my custom workspace with the comparison viewer. So workspace is color grading with comparison viewer, and I will save a still, like so. With this reference right here, I can compare all my other clips to it. So I move on to the next clip, select it, dive into the color wheels. Again, I will just eyeball it. I think I will increase the overall offset a little bit, and then pull down my lift or my shadows. So
I won't keep watching this video just because I've never used this. Should be, what's this, Final Cut? I've never used it, so I don't really know how these tools behave. I'm not qualified enough. But about workflow and the techniques he showed you, like the ones that weren't dependent on the program, good call. I mean, I like the guy. This is solid advice. That was the 7th. This is the 8th.
Need a UGC video for you?
Nope. We don't.
I know it's been a while.
Same look. So the problem that I see with this, that's why you always see me like calling out the preset pirates. Everybody is kind of a preset pirate because everybody associates cinematic with this look.
Since my last post, I've been deep in a few projects lately.
Why would somebody hire you if your footage looks exactly like something like this? What everybody else could do? It's not actually hard. If this many people can grade like this, it should tell you everything you need to know about how hard it is.
Including a feature film, but I'm really excited to be back with a fresh new tutorial. Today, I'm breaking down this grade from a cinematic scene that has a warm, laid-back summer light. And the best part, we'll be using DaVinci Resolve Studio's built-in. First, let's go through the project settings. Here, I match both the timeline and video resolution to the native resolution of the footage. For color management, as you may remember from my other tutorials, I prefer using a CSD-based workflow. So, I've set the color settings to DaVinci with Draper by adding our input CSD. This footage was shot on the ARRI Amera 4K, so I'm setting the input color space to ARRI White Gamut and the gamma to ARRI Loxi 3. For the output color space in this node, I'm using DaVinci White Gamut Intermediate. This is ranging from DaVinci White Gamut Intermediate to output parameter. And get started.
We already know the drill.
With the actual grade. Let me correct the name here. Okay, as a first step, I want to apply the Codec 2383 film loop LUT that comes with DaVinci Resolve Studio. You can find it in the LUTs folder. Here, let me show you something. First, I'll add a node just before the output CSD.
Interesting. Oh shit, it's just gonna be a film LUT. Oh shit.
And apply the LUT here. As you can see, it doesn't look quite right. The image becomes overly contract like this.
Oh no. This is straight wrong. No, this is straight up wrong. No, my man, no. Whoever you are, I don't remember your name. Oh no, this is wrong. You don't want to go about it this way.
And yes, it looks slightly better, but this doesn't actually fix the core issue here. It only softens it. The real problem is that we're
Is he gonna? Oh, okay. I might be the one. Like, it might be a trap.
applying a lot in the wrong color space.
Oh yes, yes.
Right now
Okay,
we're
so he was not. Okay, he knows something.
still in DaVinci White
Let's see how much he knows, though.
gamut, but these LUTs are designed for Rec 709 Cineon film log. So let's do it the proper way. I'll delete this node first. This time I'll add a serial node after the output CSD and insert a CSD node to convert from Rec 709, 2.4 to Rec 709 Cineon film log.
Interesting. So there might be a reason why do you have 3 CSDs. So you might want to do something in Rec 709. If you're not going to do anything in Rec 709, there's no reason to have this output right here. You can just have this that converts to Cineon and just leave it at that.
I'll name this node Cinefilm. Then I'll add another serial node right after that, and this is where we'll apply the Codec 2383 LUT. And there we go. Now
Now it looks, it's just orange and teal. Orange and teal. That's it.
it behaves exactly as intended. Next, we'll adjust the strength. While we could again
No. I mean, kinda. I need to say no to you because you're gonna go around thinking that this is actually good. And the secret is that it can be good. Don't obsess over emulating one type of film stock. It's bullshit. But man, don't do it. Don't do it. We're gonna talk about it. I'm gonna teach you when you can do stuff like this. Don't go around decreasing or increasing key output on your LUTs. Don't do it. Don't use LUTs. I don't like LUTs.
use the key output level here. That would reveal
I use Dehancer sometimes. But man, don't I don't want you to use LUTs, man. You're gonna depend too much from them. No, learn how to grade.
the Cineon log conversion underneath, which of course we don't want. To avoid that, I'll select both the conversion node and the LUT node and turn them into a compound node.
Okay.
This way we can reduce their intensity together.
Oh no.
Somewhere around here looks great. Let's check out the before and after. Beautiful. That filmic vibe really comes through now.
It looks good. But it's not right. It looks good. Now, if it looks good, it looks good. We don't give a fuck about it. But it's gonna give you problems down the line. Okay? This is one of those technical things. This is not about strategy. This is purely technical. This is one of those technical things that's going to give you problems in very specific cases. Okay, it's going to look good now, but since you struggle with this concept, since you got it wrong, when you try to make something, when you try to, like the Lego blocks from the guy before, when you try to build from that, it's going to collapse. That's why it's wrong. But because you can still say, hey, Giuseppe, why are you mad? I mean, it looks good. It looks better than before. I like the orange and teal. Yeah, I agree. But the real danger it's not going to show itself right now. If it showed itself, this guy wouldn't have made the video because it wouldn't have looked good.
Okay, now that we've locked in our film look, we can move on to primer grading. By the way, just a quick note. I applied the film look first because it affects contrast and balance. If we edit it later, we would likely have to revisit earlier adjustments. So applying the Codec 2383 LUT upfront helps keep the workflow efficient and consistent.
I agree.
Okay, looking at the image now, here I'll be using the primary wheels, lift, gamma, and gain. For convenience, I'll work with my mini panel here, but you can easily follow along using your mouse.
I'm curious as to where he's going to place his exposure node. Maybe he doesn't feel like he needs the exposure node for this clip because maybe he likes the exposure. Might be the case.
As I make these changes, I'm keeping an eye on lower the log shadows, just to bring down the blacks. They look a little lifted.
I would actually work my contrast exactly like how this guy's doing. I mean, not because I wouldn't follow the same steps, but I would just use my color wheels and my log wheels as well.
Nice. Let's check the before and after again. Perfect.
Yeah, okay.
Now, to create that somewhere around here feels right.
Oh, no.
Take a look. Nice, it's giving us that golden
What is he using, though?
Now, to create that warm summer vibe, I'll add another node and gently warm up the image using the temperature and
okay.
sliders.
So he's adding a color cast with the temp and tint inside of the HDR color wheels. I'm gonna be honest with you, I've never used that. I'll be real with you. I wouldn't go about it this way, but let's see. Let's see. Does it look good?
Somewhere around here feels right. Let's take a look. Nice. It's giving us that.
None of this looks inherently wrong. It's the fact that you think that color grading is just that. Like this image could look 1,000 different ways. It's not about slamming contrast and saturation into it. This is just going to be orange and teal anyways. the guy, hey, the boys already know that. I don't need you to tell. I don't need to tell you that.
Golden sunlit tone. At this point, I also want to make sure the skin tone is sitting in the right place. One way to check this is by creating a mask on the subject's face and enabling highlights to isolate it. Then, let's take a look. Nice, it's giving us that golden sunlit tone. At this point, I also want to make sure the skin tone is sitting in the right place. One way to check this is by creating a mask on the subject's face.
No, you can. I'll be precise. You can, but not this way.
And enabling highlights.
Huge problem.
To isolate it. Then we'll check it on the vector scope, but there's a small issue here. When we enable highlights here, it doesn't show us the final Rec 709 image, so it's a bit tricky to interpret. A better workaround is to create another node at the very end of the chain. Let's go ahead and do it. Okay, in this node we'll create the same mask.
I was like, he's gonna fix it. Because this guy tells you the thing, like, he makes you believe he's gonna do the shit thing, then he does the right thing. So he's giving me heart attacks for nothing. But nothing against the guy anyways. But I thought he was gonna fix it, but now he's after the compound node.
Let's turn on highlights. Now looking at the vector scope, you can clearly see that the skin tone falls right on the skin tone indicator line, so we're in a good spot. As a final step, I want to use the film look creator to add that last filmic touch.
So, all of that just to check the skin tones. There's a better and faster way to do that.
I'm starting with a clean slate here, and I'll begin with bleach bypass to give it that classic cinematic feel. Looks good. We can also add a
Why?
bit of richness to enhance the overall tone. Now let's dial in some vignette, halation, and bloom. By the way, just be mindful with the bloom, as too much can...
I mean, you can make anything look good with any tool if you have a proper strategy. You can use this, the film look creator. I've never used it myself. I don't like these tools. I'll be real honest with you. But you can use any tool you want to make anything look beautiful, because you can have the right strategy and it's always going to look good no matter what tool you use. That's the truth. Now this guy, he's gotten really good at making images look orange and teal nonetheless, and he's got an image that facilitates that because he's got the sunlight coming in and whatever. So his way of grading works for him in this particular case. But do all movies look like that? Why do you call it cinematic? What's cinematic about it? I'm just saying the truth.
And take away from the sharpness of your image. Remember, a little goes a long way.
Yeah, right. That's right. Good point. He said a very true thing. A little goes a long way.
Finally, we'll finish it off with some film grain to bring everything together and give it a like, drop a comment.
Okay. Achieve color grading mastery.
Go to Motion Radar.
Let's achieve color grading mastery in DaVinci Resolve with this guy's philosophy. Too loud. Forced orange and teal.
More than color. For most of us, color grading is the final brush we have to leave an impression on our audience. In fact, it's our job as filmmakers. Here we are inside DaVinci Resolve. Before we jump into any
color management,
creative adjustment, focus in mind and give it you after Kelly.
Okay.
Is with any DSLR, this is set to trilinear. We need to switch it to tetrahedral. This one frustrates me all the time, and I'll go to apply LUT and then realize that I never switched this one. And if we keep things in trilinear, we're going to get tons of banding. Our image is going to look really compressed.
Okay, interesting.
And objects. And right off the bat, this image looks incredibly washed. If you've worked with any DSLR cameras or cinema cameras, you'll know that this image was captured in a log format. Now, I know that this image was captured on the Red Gemini. It was captured in the color space, red, white, gamut, RGB, and a log curve, log 3G10. As it is, this image isn't super viewable. I start grading where while take log,
so...
I would literally come here, I would just crank the contrast, and then I would max out my saturation and start grading. And while technically it works and it looks good, this is anything but the ideal way that we want to treat this.
Good call. This guy, he's saying good stuff. I like this guy.
Film, even approaching things this way. And now that DaVinci has a color space transform, we can use exact camera profiles to go to the exact state. And so if I go ahead and just throw a color space transform on here and putting it into the colors, we're not going to look in a sandwich.
Convert his footage. He's creating a no tree
or no graph, and one's going to be at the beginning and one is going to be at the end.
Okay, 2 CSTs, of course.
And so think of this as this is our starting point. Everything that happens on 709 transformation, there's ideal camera.
Good teacher.
Profiles for each camera. What I want to do is get us outside of being camera specific. I want us to operate inside of a color space that is native to any camera. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go log 3G10, and instead of going to Rec 709, we're actually going to go to DaVinci Wide Gamut and DaVinci.
Okay, good point. I like this guy. He's it all looks good up until now.
And I'll label our output as Rec 709. Okay, so everything that happens in between here is inside DaVinci Wide Gamut. And why this is such a great thing is because DaVinci Wide Gamut is actually a wider color space than what we were even.
Good. He's done his own work.
It's really a fundamental concept.
Let's see how he grades though.
Color grading that we often take for granted is the idea of color space, which is a gamut or gamma. And I like to think of these, and the colorists would strike me down for this one, but in the simplest way,
I like to think of the color space as the color, or I had a colorist explain it to me one time. Imagine the color on stained glass, and then the gamma is like the light coming in behind the glass, right? So we can think of these as color and light, whereas gamma is more of the intensity that creates
I like this guy. Ooh.
a color space transform just using your RGB mixer. There's a few workarounds, but essentially it's just the control of the intensity. If we max out these values, we still have a workable image. It's just our channel strength has been amplified. And so that's all that's really happening is inside of our color space transform. We can technically do it by hand with the RGB, what these things actually are, besides these magic image or the. If we make any creative adjustments or things that we typically question, what is our job here? What are we actually trying to accomplish inside of all of these tools?
Good call.
At face value, a lot of people wouldn't know how to answer this question because it would be, oh, it's to make it look better. Well, does
Good call.
increasing our saturation make the image look better? If we're
What's her name? Mitchell. Good call,
somehow
Mitchell.
tinting the image, is that what we're going for? When I talk about there being two buckets, there's corrections, right? The simple, biggest brushstrokes are exposure, our balance, our contrast. Where is the image actually living? How are we perceiving the image? And then when we talk about look development, a lot of times I'm talking about color separation, right, which is like split toning or moving of the hue values, the
Okay.
intensity, such as the saturation, really trying to answer the question of how does this image feel? How does it come across? What is our intention, right? How does this fit into the story that we're telling either as colorists, come over here, and at face value, they're essentially doing the same thing, right? We're just increasing the signal that we're seeing. We're increasing and multiplying the color values. But how do we navigate that? It seems to be figured inside of I want it brighter. I'm going to call this one HDR exposure.
Okay, good call. He's done his homework.
Our state is standard practice.
I like
here.
this guy.
Black
This
here, we
is
changed,
a
right?
good
We've maintained
guy.
this level of black. Nice reaction here from our image. So let's apply this to some of the sample clips. So over here in our HDR exposure, I'm going to lift the exposure and look how much more detail we've retained as opposed to using our offset wheel. Now the same thing goes
Yeah.
over here. The offset goes over here. Where do we've got nice. Kind of what we're going to do with this node is come on down to our gamma and log
Okay.
evenly. Go
I don't like the white balance after though. I don't like that. This is gonna be linear gain white balance, which is exactly what I like to do. I don't like it after exposure, man. What can I say? I don't like it.
go back to our image and balance where it's at, because when we don't have it set in linear, it's going to affect the low end and the high end in a different button. We're going to type really
Okay.
warm image. They just and it has completely changed the game for me as far as balancing the image goes. This
Not really like that. Right here, he's kind of falling apart a little bit, but he's still saying the right
is
things.
a technique I picked. So a little warmth into the image, right? How does that feel? A little too green, come back over. That feels nice. It feels very balanced. See how I'm not tinting the skin too much. Okay, and so sometimes if you have a really washed image, you can kind of bring it back this way, or you can add a little bit of separation that wasn't there before. So let's go and move on to the last part of our corrections.
What he said can be very wrong or very true, very right. It depends on what he meant, on the way, like how he's using white balance. But let's go.
Which is our contrast. Now, when dealing with contrast, the biggest tip I have is just actually get rid of all the saturation, right? I like
Okay. He's watched like the guys do this exactly. Again, I told you, good technique, and I'm actually starting to see this coming around, and it's a good thing. It's a good technique. I talk about it in one of my videos very briefly. I told you, man, I like it. I mean, you can absolutely use it, but it's not gonna be your one trick pony. Okay.
to never trust my eyes when it comes to contrast, because our eyes actually deceive us. When we see color values, it warps how we actually perceive the image. All contrast is the separation between black and white.
Good point.
Go back to our grayscale here, our example clip. Let's go ahead and just crank the contrast all the way up. Like I'll just show you here what happens when we go to basically 100% contrast, or 1 to 2. Right of this is that is brighter is going to become brighter, and we get is middle gray. And in contrast, there's a little bit. We set our back and we type the name, right? Because everything is revolving around this point. It's kind of the fulcrum to which our contrast is happening. That's really helpful because we want to understand where is the center point of our image. Eventually, on this have to keep the pivot there the whole time, but it's helpful for us to understand that there's a point either on the skin or in the sky or wherever it is in our image that is not going to change because of our contrast. Everything is becoming darker or brighter around that point. It's a good starting place.
Good point.
Adding
Yeah.
contrast is always gonna add
Properly explain contrast and pivot, and I actually like it.
to our image. It's always going to make it feel lift. All you see is the sky. You've just directed your eye towards the brightest part of the image, and then vice versa.
Good point. This guy is strategic about his grading. He might be following a script in the sense that he might always do like the same things over and over. I don't know how this guy grades, but the way he's teaching grading, I like that.
If I drop the pivot all the way down, where does our eye go? All of a sudden, the middle of our image is front and center. And so it's finding that.
Could be your sky though. The subject can be your sky. Okay, don't go around making people look overexposed. Anyways, not overexposed, but don't go. Your subject is not going to be always a person, right? So careful with that. But this guy's good.
Middle ground of like,
I mean, I haven't actually seen him grade yet, so I don't know if he's good, but he's good at explaining what he's doing. So he's technical.
Stylistically, we want to increase interest, obviously, but just a little bit more in FI colors. And this is just a phenomenal starting point for me. Obviously we have a pretty strong fall off here on the low end, so we could pick our image up a little bit more if we wanted to, maybe something like that. But these are all basic corrections. All we did was adjust how the light is interacting with itself while working photometrically. And what I mean by that is we're trying to keep intact how the camera saw the world. A lot of people at that point, and all of your other corrections later down the line, no longer.
Okay, yep, he's right.
With these individual corrections, I like to think of them as like points of contact on our image. And I really think it doesn't take a lot to get an image to look where you want it to. Like even professional colors, they're coming in and working with the same tools. They're working with contrast. They understand these things at a really deep level. And if I had to pick anything, I think the contrast is probably the most important at getting an image to look how you want it to. People seem to have this lack of understanding of how contrast affects your image, and it's one of the most important things. It's like, what else are we looking at here? Okay. They're talking fundamentally. In my head, it's enough. So this actually used, like if I was actually,
I don't like the node tree.
Grading something, what would I?
Okay, the problem with this node tree is that it's all in serial. And you can do that in the beginning. I was guilty of this for a long time, but when you get, you can't get really advanced looks from this. So if you really want to recover bad looking footage, you can't work on it this way, because you don't have a lot of flexibility, because it's just one operation after another. And to recover very bad footage or to create interesting looks, go on my channel, I have a few. You need to work with other types of node trees, okay? Doing it all in serial, it's not going to do you any favor, apart from making it simple to understand. So if you're a beginner, yeah, this is fine. I mean, if the image looks good and if you can do what you want to do to the image, good. But you're going to come to terms with the fact that you're going to have limits when you work like this. There's just going to be things that you can't do. You literally can't do to the image if you don't learn how to leverage the right node trees.
Actually use for filming this video or creating this clip. And I'm going to walk through each of these, but I think the important distinction here is to
sometimes you want a very simple node tree. I mean, understand it. Listen, sometimes you want a very simple node tree because, as he said correctly, the image doesn't necessarily need much. Okay, you might want that. But the fact that we're acting like you never need anything more complex than this, it's just false. There's a fine line between overcomplicating and oversimplifying. Okay, I want you to have the ability of making a node tree yourself. Don't download a PowerGrade node tree from me. Don't watch my node tree and don't make the same thing over and over just because that's how I do it. I want you to be strategic about it, be technical about it. You need to know why we're doing the things we're doing. I want you to leverage node trees in your favor. If you just keep going oversimplified or over complex, you're working against yourself.
To know that between contrast and saturation lies.
Go watch a few of my videos where I grade in real time. You're going to see exactly what I mean.
A really extreme change in how we're actually going to approach the image. Everything before was, I like to think of codification. Cute.
Hey creators, do any of these comments?
Let's see here.
Colors dropping back, and we'll go all the way to 0. And then if we increase it to like 100 or 200%, see how everything gets expanded. Now, a lot of times, saturation is probably the thing I want to actually why there is, obviously this feels like a bit much. It feels kind of nice. What's here in here, but we're gonna drop this additive, whereas saturation is a multiplier. So color boost takes colors that aren't there. See, we even see on.
Okay, yeah, good. I like the fact that he's giving color boost some. He's talking about color boost, and now he's switching to HSV.
Come back. Deeper color for us, think tricks. This is why we see like 3x3 matrix camera saw and interpreted from it. This is a matrix. They're interesting. Capture Da Vinci have cameras.
Good. I mean, he's pretty technical.
And we have to think about balance. What happens when I push it?
I like the fact that he's touching on so many subjects.
And adjustment of and hue adjustment. We've all heard and our shadows are toning. Okay, so remember earlier when we were talking
split toning. So this is where it falls apart. I'm guessing he's just gonna go around making an orange and teal look. Yeah. Workflow speedrun.
Always have to, but
black and white.
Same too. To drop away.
Teal shadows, right?
Same thing works since. Okay.
Yeah.
Show you again at 4. And these are actually live HD sets. Do we actually drive them? It's great, and all we really ship this is 4 or 5 nodes, and effectively done the same thing. It's like we've been able to do more with less.
This looks good. This looks very good.
Here. If you want.
Okay, so yeah, I like this one. This is one of the best I've watched so far. He got a lot of things right, a few of them wrong. I like this guy. Props to him for doing his homework. And this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10, 11. Bro, I watched 11. Okay, I guess we're done. Okay. If you like this video, I have a few other videos where I talk about color grading. You might like them. I don't usually go around talking about techniques. I like talking about strategies more because techniques, you can get them anywhere. Everybody knows how to use exposure, contrast, and all of that. Strategies, they're rare. All right. Go look my videos up. God bless you.